Monster Hunter is a game about survival. You're pit against some of the most ruthless, dangerous creatures for you to hunt and turn them into a pair of shoes. This still holds true with wilds. However, I don't know about you, but I got a little tired of running the same set of hunts over and over. I mean, at this point, we've basically made Arkveld extinct once again, right? Maybe this time I'll actually get the Ardian pieces I'm actually hunting for. The challenges of Monster Hunter usually come down to speedruns. How quickly can we clear the biggest, baddest monster? That's great and all, but I feel like we're losing out on a lot of the other charms the series has to offer. So that got me thinking, I want to offer the Monster Hunter community a new challenge. Instead of simply hunting your Arkvelds, maybe your Gormagalas, or your Mizutsunes, I challenge you, Hunter, to the Wild Hunt. That name is still pending. Now, what is the Wild Hunt challenge exactly? Think of it somewhat like a Nuzlocke in Pokemon, or the speedrun rules that you follow in Monster Hunter itself. In short, it's a set of self-imposed rules to follow that offer you a challenging series of encounters with a point system driven by the new ecosystem in Monster Hunter Wilds. In this challenge, you will drop into any ecosystem of your choice and slay as many monsters as possible in the allotted time to accumulate as many points as possible. Don't worry though, I've put together a spreadsheet or scorecard, which we will discuss later in this video. I've also included a link to the challenge sheet, which includes rules, scoring breakdowns, and the scorecard for your use. Now, speaking of the rules, there are 11 of which you must follow. The first is that you will drop into an ecosystem where you will begin a timer. This timer has a limit of 25 minutes per run. Number 2, no carts are allowed. If you'd faint or cart a single time, your run ends and the accumulated points will be nullified. Number 3, it's you versus the monster. This means no palicos are allowed, and you can't use your sacrets to heal, sharpen mid-combat, or pick you up after knockdowns. You may, however, still use your sacred to chase monsters between zones, or move on to the next hunt, or to forage for items. Number 4, inventory rules. Your starting inventory before each challenge can only include the following items. You can carry pre-made traps. This includes pitfall traps, shock traps, and trap tools. You can also carry charms, which is going to include your power and armor charms for some passive stat boosts. You can also carry rations. And finally, you have your system equipment, such as your fishing rods, whetstone, throwing knives, etc. You may have noticed that healing items are missing from this list. Yep, that's right. You cannot start with any healing items. You may take first aid potions from your sacred though, to start with some form of healing, and you may also forage and use any items that you craft while out on your run. In addition, you may not refill your inventory loadout at a tent during the challenge. Number 5 is our equipment rules. You may start the challenge with any desired equipment loadout. Equipment cannot be changed mid-challenge though, so choose wisely. Weapons cannot be swapped after engaging a monster. You can only swap after a monster is defeated, or you're moving between zones or chasing after a monster that's moving zones. This is simply to avoid unintended illegal sacred use mid-combat. Number 6, monsters must be slain, not captured. Number 7, all environmental and statuses can be used. This includes traps, flashes, rocks, literally anything at your disposal. Rule number 8 is that no fast traveling is allowed between tents. You may, however, start at any tent of your choice within the ecosystem, and the timer, once again, that begins once you depart for your first hunt target. Number 9, each ecosystem has its separate leaderboard. Number 10, you may eat a food buff and take any consumables, such as your demon drugs, before a run. And finally, number 11, fast traveling to a base camp ends your run early, so you can kind of get out of a hunt if you wish. So why are we going with these rules exactly? Well, the intent was to create a challenge of where you feel like you're being out in the wilds with limited resources. I wanted to invoke a sense of urgency and risk around every corner, and I think doing it this way makes even the weak monsters feel a little bit more threatening, even if it's just a little bit. This way also encourages players to go back and hunt some of the weaker monsters instead of simply chasing after tempered Arkveld investigations. This may introduce some new builds to the mix as well. Some weapons may now be preferred in some cases, such as a hunting horn secondary that can provide some sustain between your hunt targets, or maybe even the comfy, more sustain-oriented builds now become meta due to having better sustain for these challenges. Yes, I understand that speed is still kind of the main intent here, but I just think that by introducing limited healing, it's going to feel a little bit more diverse in what builds you can go for. But those are all the rules. Now let's briefly talk about scoring. How are the monsters you're slaying adding to your point value? Thanks to some of the new systems introduced in Wilds, we will be using a total of 6 variables to determine point values. First is monster strength. These are indicated by the stars in the top right of a monster portrait. Monster rank will then have a modifier to incentivize hunting higher rank monsters. And next we have the monster strength, which is new to Wilds. These are indicated by the little diamonds above a monster's icon. Once again, these will be accompanied with a point modifier to give you a bonus for hunting tougher monsters that will likely take you a little bit more time. The fifth variable is a tempered modifier. Slaying a tempered monster will give you an additional 25% point increase. And lastly, there is an apex monster bonus. This is meant to further incentivize hunting the tougher monsters that might be present. Apex monsters include Raydao, Uthduna, New Udra, Gormagala, Arkveld, and specifically the tempered 8-star Mizutsune. As I've mentioned, I've attached the link to a copy of the score sheet, which displays the different rules, scoring values, as well as includes the sheet for you to tally up your score. If this challenge is well received and there's enough interest, I intend on using my Discord channel as a way to manage a leaderboard. So feel free to stop by the Discord where we can further discuss and refine the rules of this challenge together. As I mentioned, I intend for this to be a community-driven challenge, and I'd love for your feedback. But this was Goober Troy. Thanks for watching and happy hunting.